Welcome to another episode of The Drop, the weekly show that lets you know the hottest games coming out across PlayStation, Xbox, Switch, and PC. And this week we see the return of Bravely Default with Bravely Default 2 coming to the Nintendo Switch. On top of that, we have Curse of the Dead Gods jumping from PC to every major console platform, and then the return of Crazy Taxi. Kind of. Without further ado, let's go ahead and dive into it. To kick things off, Bravely Default 2 comes to the Nintendo Switch. Search for the 4 crystals in this beautiful heroic tale. Save the continent of Excellent with the help of new heroes of light. Follow the story of the young sailor Seth as he sets out on a grand adventure and meets plenty of friends and foes along the way. This new RPG adventure features striking visuals that create unforgettable and detailed scenery to explore. Dare to risk it all with the Brave and Default system. Balance risk and reward in strategic turn-based battles. Choose Brave to use multiple actions at once, but risk forfeiting your next turn. Choose Default to go on the defensive and build up Brave points to use later. Balance is key. Guide the 4 heroes of light to victory. Choose from a wide array of jobs, skills, and abilities for your party to fit your battle strategy. Seth, Gloria, Elvis, and Adele, known as the Heroes of Light, can learn jobs like Bard or Vanguard by defeating asterisk bosses. Use these skills to your advantage along with the Brave and Default system to save all of Excellent. A new world, a new story, and all new Heroes of Light are ready to save Excellent. Engage in turn-based RPG combat with a risk-reward system in the next entry of Square Enix's Bravely Default series. This is the perfect point for jaded fans or new fans to dive back into Bravely Default because it does channel those core RPG elements, but with an entirely new story and an entirely new world. There's no backstory lore to really dig into before you dive in. There's no continuing story. This is something that is entirely new. So if you want to check out Bravely Default 2, it's coming out this week for the Nintendo Switch exclusively. Next up, Taxi Chaos comes to PS4, Xbox One, and Nintendo Switch. Get behind the wheel and get ready for a new kind of taxi game. Drive around as the seasoned cab driver Vinny or the self-proclaimed influencer Cleo and rush around town to pick up the craziest of customers. It's up to you to deliver them on time, at least if you want to make any money. Navigate through crowded streets, dodge pedestrians across sidewalks, or even defy the laws of gravity by jumping over rooftops. Nothing is too extreme when it comes to delivering your passengers on time. Discover the best shortcuts and get to know New Yellow City, NYC, as well as your passengers like the back of your hand. If this looks like Crazy Taxi, that's because it's essentially Crazy Taxi, but modernized with a new coat of paint. This is not a remaster, a remake, or anything of the sort. This is just channeling that Crazy Taxi energy, and I do enjoy it a lot. I will say, however, it does not seem like The Offspring is included on the soundtrack. The official launch trailer from IGN says that the only thing missing is The Offspring, which is a little bit disappointing. But if The Offspring is not included on the official soundtrack or added in some kind of future update, because let's face it, licensing is expensive, you can just boot up the Spotify app on PS4 or Xbox One, or for that matter PlayStation 5 and Xbox Series X, and load up the Crazy Taxi soundtrack. Just turn off the in-game music and boot up the good music from back in the day. But if you do want to sit behind the wheel one more time and drive people around town, Taxi Chaos is coming out this week on the PS4, the Xbox One, and the Nintendo Switch. But to round out today's show, Curse of the Dead Gods is coming out on PS4, Xbox One, and Nintendo Switch, and it's out now on PC. You seek untold riches, eternal life, divine powers. It leads to this accursed temple, a seemingly infinite labyrinth of bottomless pits, deadly traps, and monsters. Use weapons, the environment, your brains, and skills to defeat the temple. Collect mystical relics and an arsenal of weapons to make yourself unstoppable. Battle through hordes of enemies in dark, cavernous passages filled with traps and secrets of all sorts. Fire-spewing statues, explosives, hidden spikes, and worse. Play your way and turn curses to your advantage. Corruption builds in you with every step. Encourage or ignore it, but each powerful curse can be a double-edged sword. Greed will kill you, and greed will save you. Your greed will lead you to death, but that is not an escape. Rise to fight again, delve deeper again, defy the malignant deities that linger in this place. Curse of the Dead Gods is a skill-based roguelike exploring a cruel, dark temple made of endless rooms and corridors. If you're someone who likes diving into dungeons and just grinding time and time again in this roguelike kind of fashion, then by all means, this one is going to be absolutely a good fit for you. I'll also say this has that kind of Hades vibe in my mind, where it's going to be very fitting for the Nintendo Switch, and one that you can just dive into when you have some downtime at work, or perhaps if you're taking a road trip, it's going to be a good fit for those instances. But if you want to check it out this week, Curse of the Dead Gods is coming out on PS4, Xbox One, and Nintendo Switch, and as I said, it's out now on PC, where it sits with a very positive rating on Steam. But before we wrap it up, today we have some honorable mentions, including Hellpoint, which comes to the Nintendo Switch, and Moving Out Movers in Paradise, which is a DLC for Moving Out, kind of akin to something like Overcooked, but with moving furniture, which is on PS4, Xbox One, Switch, and PC. But that rounds out this week's episode of The Drop. If you enjoyed today's show, drop me a like down below and let me know what games you are going to be picking up this week. Maybe Bravely Default 2 is right up your alley, or do you want to channel your inner crazy taxi kid in Taxi Chaos once more? Would love to hear what you have to say. But until next time, you guys have a fantastic rest of your week. I'll talk to you soon, and peace.